And now for our feature presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
You're listening to Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. Call in to join the conversation at 646-668-8393.
Welcome to Straight Talk with Dean and Mark. It's the six-man Dean Geronimo in the studio with Mark Lee. We welcome you to yet another exciting episode of our show.
Ladies and gentlemen, and just like that, we have now reached almost the end of August. It's the six-man Dean Geronimo. As always, just like I said every week, from NJ to NC, I'm in the studio with my partner in crime, my right-hand man, Mark Lee. So, Mark, tell me what's been going on. Where you from, bro?
Well, you know, things have just been rolling as always. Yours truly actually decided just on a whim to audition for a role. So, you know, they were doing some black poetry things going on. So Church the Poet, Deshaun and them, they are getting their cast together, and they needed somebody to read for the role of narrator. So I went in there and auditioned. Don't know if I'll get the part or not, but I did auditions and see what happens with that. So audition for that role, and we'll see what happens. They're actually doing, I think, a preview of some of their season this evening, actually, as we're doing our show. So they've got an event going on at the Hayti. And we had a Lieutenant Governor, Alan Thomas, running for Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina. He came by the Hayti on Saturday. He's got a very interesting way of campaigning. He's going around, and in his various cities, I think we need to put this on our page and everything, but he is giving away cars. So he gave away, I believe it was a Durango, a Ford Durango, and so he gave it away to a young lady, and there was another young lady who had I think a family of 5, and it looked like she might be a single mother or something, but he gave her $1,000. But he has already done that in Rayford, Durham, and I'm trying to think of the other city. It's another city that's here in North Carolina. It's not coming to me right now, but he is coming to Raleigh, I believe, Greensboro, and Charlotte. So he would get there. They've got like the little lottery wheel. He rolls the wheel, pulls out a name. You have to be present to win. Otherwise, he just pulls another name. So he is running for the governor, a brother, and he is giving away cars. So, but he definitely has an interesting story. I mean, he said that he can relate to a lot of things that people are talking about. He can relate to folks having their cars repossessed, because he said that happened to him. He said he can relate to folks having their, eviction notices and stuff like that, because as a youth, that happened to him, and, definitely some stuff going on with broken families, and he's actually a single father, from what I understand, but definitely some broken families in his own family. So definitely looked like he has some interesting viewpoints and some interesting ideas, so he may be a legitimate contender, but definitely I went there, and one of my coworkers, actually 2 of my coworkers, put their names in the hat, but they did not get the car. So that's what was going on Saturday at the Hayti. We did have the play Speed Done Killed My Cousin. Unfortunately, did not have enough people attend it, even though it was a very powerful play about what's going on with people coming back from war situations and stuff like that. But, there might have been other things going on in the community. So can't say why we didn't have a large attendance, but the stage reading, it wasn't a full production. It was more like a stage reading, but it was definitely very powerful. And if you ever get a chance to see it, it's done by Carpetbag Theater. They've been touring this play for a number of years, at least, I won't say at least 4 or 5, but if you ever get a chance to see Speed Done Killed My Cousin, I would strongly urge you to check it out, because it definitely raises some very important issues that our veterans are facing on a regular basis. And as for that car giveaway, I just looked it up. He was in the small town of Rayford. I think I mentioned that one. And the other one, other than Durham, was in March. And in May, he gave away one in Rocky Mount, where my mom is. And then the one Saturday was at Hayti. And then he says upcoming car giveaways are in Raleigh, North Carolina, Greensboro, North Carolina, and Charlotte, North Carolina.
Wow. Come on up to Jersey and give away some cars. We'll vote for you.
So y'all might even drive down here to vote for him, huh?
Bro, will we? We sure would. Come on down, you know what I mean? Play like Price is Right. Come on down and try to win us a car or something to drive back.
Well, you'll also be glad to know that I did talk to Mr. Thomas. I did invite him to be on the show, so hopefully he can tell us about that, and maybe he can find a way to get you your car. But what it says on his page is not going to give a whole lot of history because I'm hoping that he'll be able to share more of his story when he comes on. But it says on the first page of his Meet Alan thing, Alan Thomas has developed a reputation of being a tough fighter for education, working class families, paying workers a living wage, and criminal justice reform. He was definitely all about criminal justice reform. You would have actually been interested in one of the things he said, which was basically that he thinks that there ought to be voting booths in the prisons because in some cases those people have not been actually convicted. Now, he gets it if they've been convicted, then they would lose their rights, but he's talking about those that are sitting in the prison waiting for the trial. So he's like, I don't know why we can't have those things in the prison. So that's one of the things that he mentioned that he might be advocating for.
All right, well, make sure you tell him that it might be easier to have those individuals vote by mail because, first of all, anything that comes in a prison is going to get searched again. Everybody has to have clearance to come in there and bring those machines, all of that stuff. So, it may, and, some prisons will say, no, we're not doing it. Some jails will say, no, we're not doing it. But to vote by mail, that's a simple send it to the Board of Elections, you know what I mean? Which I don't have a problem with. It's just, it may be an easier solution as far as, because you're going to have to get all of that stuff cleared to get it in. And then, like I said, some people will say, well, no. And then you'll face an uphill battle trying to get some stuff actually done when it's actually for a good reason.
Exactly. And then just to continue a little bit more about him, like I said, we'll hopefully hear from him later on. I think I'm trying to book him for September or October the latest. But it says Alan developed his tough yet caring personality as a child, growing up in a one-bedroom apartment with his mom, dad, and sister. His mother was an elementary school teacher, and his father battled drug addiction while working odd jobs to provide for his family. When his parents divorced, his mother took on a second job as a cashier at a local grocery store to make ends meet for the family. His mother's sacrifice fuels his desire to raise teachers' pay to the national average in North Carolina. And he made history as the youngest county commissioner ever elected in Hope County when he was elected to the Hope County Board of Commissioners in 2014. He was also reelected in 2018 for a 4-year term, and in 2014 to 2015, he served as vice chairman of the Hope County Board of Commissioners. He currently serves on the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners Board of Directors and is chairman of the organization's General Government Steering Committee. And he also received a master level of recognition from the local Elected Leaders Academy. So that's just some of the things that he's about and some of the things that he has done in his life. And like I said, hoping to definitely get him on. He seemed very interested and very willing to be on the show. So we can talk to him about that car and whether he can get you that car up there in the New Jersey area or how we going to make that happen some kind of way or another. You will be glad to know that Mr. Irvin Truitt, who was on our show yesterday, I was there during his auditions. He had auditions on Friday. I did not audition for him. I told him that I wanted a cameo in one of the films, because he was actually auditioning for 2 films, and he and the filmmaker seemed open to that possibility, but he did have about 20 people that auditioned for him. Well, there was about, I'd say close to 20 that he had that auditioned for him. So, and I think it's like for about 8 or 10 roles. Of course, there'll be some extra roles as well, but it definitely seemed like he was pleased with the turnout that he had and the amount of folks that came to see him and audition for the 2 films that he mentioned on our show last week. So definitely did get a little bit of a turnout for that. So that was good to know and everything. And, one of the candidates will be here this weekend. The Durham, one of our PACs, our PAC, that's definitely the African-American PAC here in the area. They're having their annual Founders Day banquet, and Camilla is the keynote speaker. So she will be here. I believe that is on Saturday the 24th. So she will be at the Marriott. They're doing some meet and greets and some other stuff so folks can see her. I understand that the actual Founders Day banquet with her as a guest is sold out, but there are some other opportunities that she may be appearing at, that folks that if they're interested in running into her can run into her and give her their opinion about what she's doing or not doing in the campaign. Because I understand we had a candidate drop out. So we did have one of the candidates that I've had enough of this. I don't see that I'm getting my 2, 3, or whatever that threshold that they look for is. And so I think it's Hickenlooper or something like that, but he has dropped out of the race. So I don't know how many we are at now because, you know, I lose track after a while. They've got so many running for the Democratic Party that I totally lose track of who's who. But I do know that Mr. Hickenlooper has definitely dropped out of the race. He said that, you know, he's dropped out of the race and is going to pursue some other means of doing things in terms of addressing some of the issues that he had on his mind. But he is no longer a candidate, and he was out of Colorado. He was the former Colorado governor. But he is one that dropped out, and I'm sure that many more will be dropping out during the course of the campaign. And did you get the email that I sent you on Facebook about this pull-out section, which is very powerful, and I'm hoping that we get some people involved with that, too, in the near future. But it's the 1619 Project, which is a group of black journalists, educators, leaders of all sorts that basically came together, and their argument is that we need to stop thinking that the country started in 1776, because their argument is that the country actually started in the year 1619 when the first slave ship brought the first of us over here. So they did this whole piece that looked at everything from the prison justice system to our addiction to sugar to the education and the miseducation of our youth and just a whole bunch of other issues. And their basic concept is the fact that it all starts from the time that the slaves came in, including some things that we often don't think about. You know, everybody talks about, you know, the South being where the slaves were and everything of that nature. And I think that that is the common thoughts and everything. But people forget that one of the biggest slave auction places was actually where Wall Street is.
Mm-hmm.
Which would not be in the South. That would be in the Northeast. They might be taking them to the South.
It's way in the Northeast. It's way in the Northeast. Way up here. So, you know, I mean, they don't understand. And they've twisted history to be what they wanted it to be. You know, it started way before 1776 when you stole the land. Way before then, and you took some people from this land, dragged them around the world and brought them back and called them slaves. So, you know, it's a lot of things that are being brought to light now. And I know good and well they don't want it to be brought to light because they're like, you know what? Why should we tell them now? If we tell them now, they're going to know, you know. But it's only so long that you can hide certain things. So hopefully the 1619 Project, I got to take a look at that because
it says that in August, and the first issue came out, and apparently they have a study guide complete to try to help our young people understand what they're dealing with in terms of their history and everything. But it said in August, the New York Times magazine is publishing a series of essays that detail the ways the legacy of slavery continues to shape our country to mark the 400th anniversary of the beginning of American slavery. Conservative media personalities are reacting to the 1619 Project with defensive anger, insisting that the Times is seeking to deceive and divide the public. I understand that, you know, that person that we don't like to talk about, he's not too happy with the 1619 Project either, but he'll get over it. But it says the 1619 Project, headed by New York Times Magazine domestic correspondent Nicole Hannah-Jones, seeks to reframe the country's history, understanding 1619 as our true founding and placing the consequences of slavery and the contributions of black Americans at the very center of the story we tell ourselves about who we are. In addition to publishing a series of essays, the Times also partnered with the Pulitzer Center to create a curriculum for teachers to use in schools to address the way that the history and impact of slavery have been taught in America. So, you know, there's already right-wing folks. Newt Gingrich has already gone off getting very upset